Welcome to the deep dive. Ever stare at something you need to do, or maybe something new you actually want to learn and just nothing happens? That heavy feeling, like you're stuck. We've all
Yeah.
been there, right? Well, today we're diving into a really fascinating source. It's a transcript, actually, that digs into a simple but surprisingly powerful way to break through that feeling. It talks specifically about putting things off when learning English, but honestly, it's about making big goals feel, well, doable.
Yeah, and our mission really is to unpack this specific technique the source talks about, the 10-minute rule. This sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? Just 10 minutes. But we're going to explore how it helps you start and, maybe more importantly, why it often makes you want to keep going.
Exactly. It's more than just a little productivity hack. It taps into something fundamental about, how we're wired. We'll look at the psychology behind it, why it works, and how you can actually use it. There's some really interesting insights here. So let's start with that feeling. The source really nails it, talking about feeling too tired or lazy to study. That urge to just, keep putting it off.
Oh.
He uses this example of Lisa feeling exactly that way about studying English. Really relatable.
Oh, absolutely. It's universal, that feeling, procrastination. The source defines it pretty simply, just delaying something, not doing it now because you don't feel like it. It's not some character flaw. It's just a
Like,
common human thing we all bump up against.
right. And the solution proposed, this 10-minute rule, is kind of genius in its simplicity. It's literally just 10 minutes, that's it. And the crucial part, I think, is the promise you make to yourself. After 10 minutes, you can totally stop if you want to. You've got permission.
That's key, that permission.
Hmm.
The source makes a point of saying, you don't need to study for 1 hour or 2 hours.
Mm.
It makes the whole thing not scary. And it's easy to fit into your day, isn't it? It just lowers that barrier to entry so much.
Okay, 10 minutes. It sounds, well, almost too small. So how does such a tiny commitment actually make a difference? What's the mechanism here?
Well, it tackles what the source calls the hard part, just starting.
Okay.
Committing to only 10 minutes tricks your brain, basically. Once you actually begin, it says it feels easier. It's like flipping a switch. The source uses this great phrase. It's like your brain wakes up. You push past that initial resistance, and suddenly it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Brain wakes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. It suggests it's almost a physical thing, not just willpower, like overcoming friction. And then comes the really interesting bit the source highlights. Usually you keep going after that.
Mm-hmm.
You're already doing it, you've got momentum, so you think, okay, maybe just a little more. Tom, in the transcript, apparently uses it exactly for that, when he just doesn't feel like learning. It's a tool for that specific moment of, ooh.
Yeah, and the examples for those 10 minutes are super practical. Things like listen to a short podcast, read one page, or watch a short video.
Mm.
The aim isn't massive progress in that tiny window. It's just taking the first step, making it concrete.
And this is important too. Even if you stop after 10 minutes, it's still a win. Because that little action, that choice to start, it builds a good habit. You're reinforcing the I did it feeling, not the I avoided it feeling,
Yeah.
which is huge for learning anything, right?
What's also neat is how the language in the source itself helps us understand. It actually points out some key phrases, like put off. It defines that as, to delay or not do something now because you don't want to do it. Pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
The example given is, I always put off my homework until the last minute. We've all been there. Then there's keep going, meaning to continue doing something even when it's difficult. The example is about running a race. I wanted to stop running, but I kept going and finished the race. That captures that momentum you build after starting. And one more. That makes sense. Just means something is clear, easy to grasp. It's how Lisa reacts to the rules. She thinks, that sounds easy, and then that makes sense. I always feel lazy at the beginning. It's that click, that aha moment.
Yeah, it's interesting how the simple phrases really map out the whole journey, isn't it? From feeling stuck to understanding the resistance to finding a way through. Makes it feel less abstract.
Exactly. And building on that, the source also gives some broader advice about learning effectively. It talks about practicing often to get good at speaking English, suggesting you should watch this video again 2 times, 3 times, or more. It reinforces that same idea. Consistency, even in small bursts, builds skill, like the 10-minute rule itself.
Right, and it even mentions specific practice methods, like a listen and answer method or shadowing practice. These sound like great examples of how you'd actually use those small, consistent efforts, ways to apply that principle to make learning feel less, well, intimidating and more like something you can actually chip away at.
So wrapping it up, I think the big takeaway here is just the surprising power of starting small, that tiny 10-minute commitment. It seems to be the key that unlocks the door, moving you from stuck to doing, and often leads to way more than just those initial 10 minutes.
It really does. So we'd encourage you listening to maybe try this. Think about something you've been putting off, whether it's learning or some other task. How often is just starting the biggest block? Maybe 10 minutes is all you need.
And that leads to a final thought, maybe something to chew on. If just 10 minutes can make such a difference with something like learning English, what other things in your life, maybe things you haven't even thought about tackling, could benefit from that same approach? Just 10 minutes. Imagine the quiet momentum you could build, across different areas just by starting small, consistently. Where might that lead?
Something to definitely think about. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Keep exploring, keep learning.